With that said, I want to bring Steve Turley up. Steve Turley's going to go ahead and walk your way up here, man. He's the host of Turley Talks. If you guys don't know Turley Talks, make sure you check out Turley Talks. And so why don't you give a big hand to Steve? Okay.
Yeah, this is wonderful. Thank you so much for the invitation to be here and to hang out with you guys. Love coming on out here. You guys know, well, some of you know that I live 20 minutes away from Biden's basement in Delaware. And when it's really quiet outside, if you go out in the back, you can actually hear him snoring. It's so cute. Such a sweet look. I've been hearing a lot of snoring lately, actually. I'm going to be talking about the parallel economy and how the parallel economy is changing dramatically right in front of our very eyes. So I'll get into what this parallel economy is, how it's changing, and how it even seems to explain what's actually going on right now across the planet with the crazy sort of geopolitical situation that's happening today. Let me give you a little sample of headlines here. We've never seen anything like this. That's from the New York Times. Axios had the recent headline, Trump's MAGA month transforms America. Politico wrote, quote, since January 20th, Trump has reshaped everything, from the workings of America's federal government to its relations with allies and foes overseas, from its approach to war and peace to its stances on trade and foreign aid, and he shows no signs of slowing down. There is a growing consensus that we are in the midst of something truly historic. We're watching something we've literally never seen before. A totalizing global realignment. Some are saying that Trump is resetting the Great Reset. He's replacing the New World Order with the Great American Renewal. And it appears to have taken the Democrats and the legacy media totally by surprise. They have no idea how to react. In fact, they're sort of caught into what we're calling an 80-20 doom loop, where they're planting their flag on issues that only about 20% of the most radical lunatics in the country actually support. Now, if you're on the front lines of business, this is a very exciting, but also terrifying moment because things are changing so dramatically. Things are so volatile. Things are so turbulent. And yet things are so extraordinary. I think that what many of you may indeed have been a part of, this thing called the parallel economy, does a lot to explain what's happening and make sense of what's unfolding before us. I'm going to try to make a bit of an argument for you. I'm an academic. I mean, I retired, thank God. I retired from academia, how long? 4 or 5 years ago. I haven't graded a paper in so long. It's so beautiful. But I still, I like to try to create an argument, a thesis, and draw it out for you to help see if this brings some clarity to what's going on in the world. And I want to make an argument. I believe the parallel economy is going mainstream. The parallel economy is turning into what's increasingly being called the patriot economy, or an America First economy, an economy that's built around the eternal values of faith, family, and freedom. And if Trump has his way, that America First patriot economy is at breathtaking speed becoming the center of the global economy as a whole. Now, this term parallel economy. It arose during the height of cancel culture. Remember January of 2021, J6. President Trump, the President of the United States, was banned from Twitter and Facebook, along with the banning of Parler, if you remember that, from AWS and Apple App Store and Google Play Store. There's banning of many other prominent conservatives from Shopify, PayPal. So collectively, this excommunication, which is really what it was, this was seen as the catalyst for a massive exodus of consumers and entrepreneurs from traditional tech, as well as a slew of investors pumping money in new tech like Rumble and Truth Social, with an entire parallel economy emerging around these new anti-woke social media outlets. It's within this parallel economy that companies such as Public Square began promoting the notion of economic patriotism. In the midst of all of this wokeness, in the midst of all of this Democrat and establishment tyranny, economic patriotism involved prioritizing and supporting domestic businesses, products, and services that affirm the values of faith, family, and freedom, and thus strengthen the national economy by upholding local values and ethics. A number of pundits began reporting on the undeniable boom in what they were calling red state economies during the Biden years, where leftugees, as they were called, by the millions fled blue states for the freedoms and opportunities that were flourishing in red states. As a result, red states are poised now to pick up 12 more electoral votes in the 2030 reapportionment, while blue states are losing 13. But as it turns out, we didn't have to wait until 2030 to rectify the woke absurdities and cancellations so characteristic of the Biden years. In April of 2022, something extraordinary happened, something nobody ever expected. Elon Musk bought Twitter. And when confronted on why he was paying such an exorbitant fee of $44 billion, Musk said, quote, "Because this is a battle for the future of civilization. If free speech is lost even in America, tyranny is all that lies ahead. I don't care about the economics at all." Well, as it turns out, he was able to have both. Musk, in effect, turned freedom, and particularly free speech, into a business model, very much aligned with the parallel economy. By doing so, literally overnight, he mainstreamed the parallel economy. After all, he loves to say, we are the media now. And as a result of this one act alone, the buying of Twitter, it single-handedly took down the entire woke censorship complex. My namesake, Jonathan Turley, who I've been confused with on radio interviews before, the professor of law at George Washington University, he said it best. Love him or hate him, Elon Musk is, without question, the most consequential figure for free speech in our generation. He has done more for free speech than any living person today. All other CEOs, Zuckerberg, Bezos, Larry Fink, they all caved like cowards before the woke mob, the woke zealots. They all enforce politically correct censorship. They enforce deep state-backed suppression of legitimate news stories like Hunter Biden's laptop.
They collectively capitulated to the demands of the cultural Marxists, but not Elon Musk. Musk, like Trump, was someone that the woke left could not intimidate no matter what they tried. They couldn't manipulate, they couldn't scare, they couldn't frighten into submission, and as a result, the X revolution transformed the entire social media landscape by reawakening the political and cultural power of free speech. Now, as a result of his alliance with Trump and the massive win in November, that's being compared, by the way, to 1984. It's not so much 1988. Bush Sr. got 40 states, but it wasn't his coalition. It was Reagan's, and it quickly unraveled by 92. This was a genuine, bona fide coalition of Trump. Biggest win since 84. As a result of that, the parallel economy that arose in response to the mainstreaming of wokeness has itself now officially gone mainstream. Wokeness is now the butt of all jokes. It is openly laughed at, mocked, and ridiculed. Just ask Disney. Their latest ridiculous remake of Snow White, what others are calling Snow Woke, is setting a new standard for box office bombs as it's set to lose over $100 million in theaters. But of course, that's nothing compared to the tens of billions of dollars lost out of the Dylan Mulvaney Bud Light disaster that again, single-handedly, appeared to do more to turn wokeness from a financial fad into a marketing poison. But this is just the tip of the iceberg. The mainstreaming of the parallel economy into a patriot, America First economy is now in the process of literally changing the world. What we have to understand here is that the political linchpin for this economic revolution is the electoral realignment of the working class, the single most anti-woke demographic in the country. And it was the working class that was key to Trump's astonishing electoral success. If you don't know, the secret sauce to Trump's massive coalition is the way he was effectively able to recalibrate the electorate from a horizontal divide to a vertical divide. So when we often think of politics, we think of a left-right divide, right? Liberals versus conservatives, Democrats versus Republicans. But Trump tapping into populist sentiments, what populism does is it realigns that divide to a vertical divide. The people versus the political class, the ruled versus rulers, ordinary Americans versus oligarchs. And they do that because they largely see no difference between the two parties. We're already seeing evidence that this realignment was happening back in 2010 during the Tea Party movement. And what this political recalibration enabled Trump to do is it enabled him to pivot left on economics while pivoting right on culture. So this is widely recognized as sort of the secret sauce of Trump's success. So economically, by embracing more pro-union, pro-tariff, pro-New Deal FDR economic policies, Trump effectively realigned both the white working class and the non-white working class around himself. The defection of the white working class we first saw in 2016, right here in Pennsylvania, Wisconsin, Iowa, Michigan. As it turns out, it was just the beginning of this realignment. So back in 2016, nearly 200 counties in Wisconsin, Iowa, Michigan, and good old PA that had voted Democrat in every presidential election since 1988 had defected and voted Trump, some by 20-point margins. It took Hillary totally by surprise. They had no idea they were going to lose all three blue wall states as catastrophically as they did. But in 2024, Trump capitalized on that by continuing the working class defections, but this time with non-white working class voters, particularly Latinos and black men. So by attracting more non-white working class voters than any Republican in over 50 years, he was able to minimize the margins that the Democrats got on their urban base, all the while maximizing his own rural base. So that's sort of the secret sauce. He maximized his 2016 base and then minimized the Democrats' urban base by siphoning off so many non-white working class urban voters. And the key here is the white and non-white coalition came together through the frame, the prism of the working class, which was at one time the most reliable Democrat voter in the nation. At the same time, he pivoted right on culture by going after, what do you know, wokeness. By mainstreaming the parallel economy's war on the woke. And the political genius here is that wokeness actually splits the left and unites the right. Wokeness splits the left and unites the right. So you take any woke issue, trans athletes in women's sports, CRT in the classroom, it doesn't matter. Take any woke issue, poll the political left, and you'll find about 50% are all for it, and then 50% are against it. The Bill Maher's, the Piers Morgans, right? Even at one time, Elon Musk admitted he voted for Biden. But if you poll the right, how many of them support woke issues? 100% are against it. In other words, you put a woke issue out there, people are more likely to vote against it than would ever vote for it. So by pushing woke issues constantly, Trump was able to split the left and unite the right. Glenn Youngkin did that very effectively in the 2021 election in Virginia. This is the brilliance of the new Trump America First populist Republican Party. As long as it pivots left on working class economic issues and pivots right on cultural issues, it promises to be the single most dominant political realignment our nation has seen since FDR's New Deal. And that's precisely how I think we need to understand what's happening today, particularly with Trump's institution of global tariffs. Trump is, there's a little elf just walked in. Oh, come in, elf. He'll probably come up to my shoulder. Trump is, I can't get away from the Shire. It was my intro music. That's it. That's going to be my intro music from now on. And here comes little Turley, straight from the Shire. Come speak to us, Frodo of the Nine Fingers. Trump is... I've lost my place in the argument now. Never mind. My students would do this to me all the time. They were like, they would make bets of who can get me off track, and then we'd just go down some rabbit trail for 15 minutes, and then the bell would ring. Be like, well, that blew that class plan. Trump is, with these tariffs, as we speak, doing nothing less than realigning the world economy around the America First Patriot economy. You got to get that. We started off in the periphery. Now we're at the center. And not just of the nation, of the world. Just ask China. What Trump is doing here is he's overturning the entire Bretton Woods system that was first instituted after World War II. So this was the new economic system devised by the United States after the decimation of Europe, the Soviet Union, and Japan. And what we did is we created a financial system comprised, and this is key, of institutions. Institutions like the IMF, International Monetary Fund, the WTO, the World Bank, which provided the rules, the obligations, and the protocols that all member nations had to abide by, that imposed a single one-size-fits-all trade policy on literally the whole of the international community. It's what's known as the rules-based order. And what the Bretton Woods system basically did is it created the international conditions that allowed American companies for the first time to offshore their manufacturing and production so as to lower prices for the consumer but maximize the profit for the CEO. Generally, you have to choose between those two, right? So if you're going to lower prices, how's your profits going to go? You got lower profits. But if you can offshore the manufacturing to basically slave labor in third world countries, you can lower the cost to the consumer, but maximize the profit for the CEO. And you can do this without the fear of compromising national security. Historically, trade was considered an extension of national security. Whatever you offshored to other countries in terms of manufacturing is going to get cut off from you in the case of international tensions or war. But with globalist structures in place that managed the structures and the rules of these transnational institutions like the IMF and the WTO, member nations are obligated to abide by what's called this rules-based order. This is globalism. In a nutshell, this is the liberal globalist order. And it's precisely the order that Trump is smashing to pieces as we speak. And he's argued this for years. He's overturning it largely because of its adverse and deleterious effects on the American working class and therefore the American working community. Globalism institutes what's known as a global division of labor, where manufacturing and factory jobs are shipped out to third world nations, all the while capital and finance are relocated in metropolitan, cosmopolitan centers, at the same time leaving rural communities highly unemployed and leaving wages radically stagnant, all while CEO earnings skyrocket. In 1965, CEOs of major companies were paid around 20 times that of their average employee. By 2012, that rose to 350 times more. In 2015, Wall Street bonuses, I repeat, bonuses, totaled $30 billion. While the total compensation for all Americans working for minimum wage totaled $15 billion, half of that. Trump's solution, in part, is to reorganize the global trade system so as to place the American manufacturer back at the center of the world, hence the tariffs. In effect, what we're seeing is the economic patriotism that was at the center of the parallel economy turn into a reawakening of what's technically called classical mercantilism, where trade is once again seen as an extension of national security. This is exactly how the Russian geopolitical theorist Alexander Dugin, who I just interviewed the other day, is seeing it. He tweeted out, quote, "By imposing tariffs, Trump has put an end to globalization. From now on, mercantilism prevails on the world scale." This is a global decoupling, another step to save the world from globalist dictatorship. And note, as far as Trump and many others are concerned, there is no greater threat to both American manufacturing and American national security than China. And many analysts are noting that through the dynamic use of tariffs, Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent in particular appears to be orchestrating a stunning recalibration of the global economy around a reawakened American manufacturing sector, all the while internationally isolating tariff-ridden China. And again, think about the speed this recalibration is happening at. If last week I were to tell you that Trump was going to levy 100% tariffs on China, would you have thought that the markets would react with their single largest day gain in history, $4 trillion in 10 minutes? Reality is stranger than fiction. If Trump is successful, and everything we've seen thus far suggests he will be, he will have effectively reorganized the entire world economy around economic populism, the working class, and the very political constituency that the old globalist order alienated and forgot. The working class, the most conservative, traditionalist, patriotic demographic in the nation. And by the way, it's no coincidence that J.D. Vance, the author of Hillbilly Elegy, is the next in line. So what does all this mean for us here in Pennsylvania? I put us because I'm in the greater Philly area. Well, many of you know this, but analysts are calling Pennsylvania the new Ohio. Pennsylvania is trending red today in a manner comparable to how formerly purple Ohio trended just a few election cycles back. Ohio was long considered a key bellwether state. It voted for Obama twice, it voted for Bush twice. And yet now it is deeply, deeply red. Same with Florida. In elections, Pennsylvania 9 out of 10 times tends to follow Florida. Not with the same margins, but they tend to follow in the same direction. And both Ohio and Florida have not just gone red, they've gone ruby red, particularly Florida with those left UGs coming on down there. But the key here is that they've gone red in tandem with this extraordinary political realignment of the working class and the patriot economy. And this is only going to further intensify now that the Democrats have so thoroughly aligned themselves with the financial class. I mean, who would have ever believed we could get the Democrats to start burning Teslas and defending Wall Street CEOs? But it's happening. It's glorious. You couldn't script your villain better. And it's all part of this amazing political and economic and cultural realignment that's been going on for 8 years, but is now hit the tipping point. It's happening in mass. I'm just going to say it from someone who's in Delaware. The Republican Party in Pennsylvania has got to get its dung together. And you know what I'm talking about. The Republican establishment here needs to wake up to the fact that it is not 2004 anymore. We do not live in that world. That was a globalist world with a globalist establishment made up of both globalist parties. Tom Ridge Republicanism is dead. And yes, may it never rise again. And it's dead because that's not the demographic that's voting for Republicans anymore. A patriot economy requires a patriot party. I'll say that again. A patriot economy that's mainstream, that's rooted right here with what you are doing. This is the center of the earth right now as we speak. Just like the Garden of Eden. I see all the signs around it, the street signs. A patriot economy requires a patriot party. You cannot have a patriot economy and a globalist party. The Republicans are poised with Trump's leadership to become precisely that, but if they fully embrace the populist realignment that redefines that horizontal divide towards a more vertical one, the people together versus the permanent political class. If the Pennsylvania GOP recognizes this and utilizes the strategic genius of activists like my dear friend Cliff Maloney and Scott Press. He's such a dear friend, I forget his name half the time. Then it is virtually inevitable that Pennsylvania will become solid red state through and through. And Democrats then, as a result, will be permanently boxed out of executive federal power for the foreseeable future. And then you can get busy transforming into the Florida of the Northeast with a governor, Ramaswamy, next door to you to help lead the way. Through the extraordinary efforts of Elon Musk and Donald Trump, the parallel economy has mainstreamed into the patriot economy, a national, America-first economic order centered on the flourishing of faith, family, and freedom. The Trump revolution is taking that transition to the next level with a permanent restructuring of global trade and finance around the reawakening of American manufacturing and industry. And as such, the patriot economy, the economy that you created and are a part of, is no longer simply about changing our nation. You are changing the world.